Hey, good morning from the Dollhouse. I apologize for the quality of my voice. Seems like we've been passing around some variation of the cold since September, and it's my turn again. And this is why people homeschool. uh, it's not been an awful cold, but just enough to kind of keep me wiped out. So I've been taking it pretty easy on the exercise front just until I feel better. I've been doing a lot of yoga, and Beachbody just added some new yoga routines to their yoga studio, and so I've been playing with those. One I've discovered I really like is called Radiate and Shine, and I did that. What night was it? Must have been Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, whatever. And it was challenging enough that I felt like I had done something by the end, but it wasn't hard until Ainsley said, "I want to do the autumn one." She was doing the yoga with me, kind of, and so I put on the 21 Day Fix Extreme yoga, and by the end of that, I was wiped out. It was my arms were shaking. Like, if you think yoga is not a workout, it really is. So last night I took it really easy and just did a 20-minute quick session, and then today I did the Radiate and Shine again, which I really like that. It's a nice routine. But the first session I did was a lower back relief session on Friday night. And ever since my third delivery, I had terrible back labor with Ainsley. And ever since then, it's never really left. I get a lot of tightness and a lot of swelling in my lower back pretty regularly, if you know what I mean. But, and I was really feeling it on Friday. So I did that 10-minute lower back relief, and it really helped. So yeah, I had planned to start a new fitness program this week, but it's not going to happen. I just don't feel up to it, so I'm just gonna stick with the yoga and until I feel better. So that's where I'm at on that front. I wanted to show you, I started a spinning project on a whim yesterday, just because I have this wool sitting on my kitchen table, and it's just been, I don't know, daring me to spin it. These are strips from bats I carded this summer. I brought it to the steam show in case I ran out of stuff to do. I had more stuff with me at the steam show than I will ever finish in a lifetime. But this is fleece from a friend that I dyed. I did greens and blues in one pot and let them just kind of mix however they mixed. And then I sorted. I ended up with 3 variations in the color. There was a really green, a really blue, and a kind of medium. So I separated them out by color. And in a different pot, I had the hot pink. I don't know if you can see in this one, but it's a really, really bright pink. And so once I had my colors separated out, I made, how did I do it? I made a bat that striped the length of the bat. I alternated, the greens and the blues and the pink, and I put some plain white fleece in there, and I put some plain black in there as well. And I spun one bobbin full of singles yesterday, and I want to show you what I used to spin it, because this is one of my favorite spinning tools. This is an antique wheel. It's a Tyrolean wheel named for the region of the Alps where it originated. When I was looking up information on this wheel, I was told that if the literary character Heidi had a spinning wheel, it would look like that. And I don't spin on it very often. It is an old wheel. It's probably about 150 years old. It could be older than that. I have no idea, because I haven't been able to find a maker's mark of any kind. But yeah, I just, another reason I don't use it a lot is because it has a pretty pretty substantial wobble to it, and I'm afraid that I will wreck it. And one of the reasons it wobbles a bit is the bobbins are not perfectly balanced anymore. This wheel actually has 4 bobbins, which is really rare for an antique wheel. Normally you have 1. This one has 4, but like I said, they're not really well balanced, so I just use the best one and use the other bobbins for storage. Another reason it wobbles quite a bit is I'm noticing now the drive wheel's not straight up, but it's really heavy on one side. When this wheel is spinning, it has a spot where it likes to stop, and that's where it stops. It's a single treadle. I don't know if you can see. And just with the weight of the wheel and the way it isn't perfectly aligned anymore, and I don't know, I don't want to wreck it, but I still like to use it. There's just something about it. Like when I sit there and spin at it, it's amazing to me that it's survived as long as it has, and it's traveled as far as it has, and you just feel like you can't help but wonder about all the people who used it before you. And I don't know, I try not to get too hung up on like material things and possessions, but this little wheel is one of my favorite things, just because, I don't know, it just kind of radiates like a warmth out of it, and I don't know, it's just kind of a special thing. But I wanted to tell you a little bit how it works. It's a bobbin led wheel. So what happens is the drive band goes around this end of the bobbin and spins it, and the yarn is connected to both the bobbin and the flyer. It goes through this little loop. I made this loop out of twisties because the original disappeared a long time ago. And it so when you're spinning, the drive wheel turns the bobbin and the yarn pulls the flyer around. They turn together and add twist to your yarn. As long as I'm holding tension on it, it will keep adding twist. As soon as I release tension and allow it to feed into the wheel, there's a break that goes over the flyer, and the flyer slows down, so the bobbin keeps spinning at full speed, and it winds the yarn on. Spinning wheel technology, the basic mechanics have not changed since the flyer wheel appeared in the 1400s. There are 3 different drive systems, but they all work by varying the speed between the bobbin and the flyer. This bobbin-led system is also sometimes called Irish tension. Yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, I don't know. I think another reason I don't use this wheel very often is it's hard to use. It has a tiny little drive wheel and the single treadle, and you really, if you're going to spin a fine yarn, which you kind of have to, the orifice isn't very big. Where it comes out here is even smaller. You really need to pedal to get enough twist to keep a fine yarn together. And with the weight of the wheel, it has kind of a gate, and it's really easy to get tuckered out. I switch legs quite often when I use it, but I almost wonder if it was designed to be a flax wheel. Just because of the wide flyer arms, that's pretty typical of a flax wheel, and flax doesn't need as much twist. And I do have some flax. I've only spun it once before. I'm not very good at it, so I don't think I will ever try it on this wheel, because flax is very strong, and it can actually, like, strong enough to snap one of these flyer arms off. And with the gate that wheel has, what sometimes happens if you're not paying attention, you treadle a little off rhythm and it'll send the wheel flying backwards. And I'm afraid that would happen, and I would break my flyer, and you're not finding another flyer. Another reason I kind of think this could have been used for flax is, let's see. You can see the grooves cut in the wood where the yarn would pass over. And that can happen with wool with use. That's not unheard of. But I don't know. I just wonder. But what I use it for is spinning. I consider it my long draw wheel. I spin finer but low twist fluffy yarns, and it makes it makes a nice fuzzy fluffy yarn. And I don't ply on this little Tyrolean because the bobbins are tiny. It doesn't hold enough. So I will spin all the singles on the wheel, but I'll ply it on my modern wheel. Yesterday while I was spinning, Ainsley insisted she needed to spin too. She's only 3. She's never spun before, but I thought, why not? It'll make her leave me alone if I just let her do it. She's never gonna give me peace until I just let her try it. So I had some wool carded up. Oliver had wanted to spin, and I was busy, but I had told him he could, and he wouldn't leave me alone. So finally I was like, okay. So I carded up just quick on some hand cards, a little bit of raw fleece. I didn't pick any hay out of it or anything, and he spun for about 15 seconds and he was done. So this ball of prepped wool has just been hanging around. So I'm like, okay, you can spin that. And I set her up at the wheel. I have a Kromsky Minstrel. That's what I let the kids spin on. And she got the hang of it so fast. I barely even had a chance to explain to her what to do. She couldn't really get her hands and feet going at the same time. I had to keep turning the wheel for her, but she spun a pretty good single with minimal help from me. And then Dad and the kids came home and she was ready to be done, but I plied it up for her and I wove it. I had to add a little bit of commercial yarn at the end because there wasn't quite enough. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, it's her yarn, of course, was very loosely twisted and very variable, but it turned out really soft. I mean, I kind of regret leaving all that hay in there because otherwise it would be downright cushy, but the hay is a little prickly. This is what I used to make her little fabric square with. This was my grandma's. I think it could have been my great-grandma's, but it's a Weave It loom. My mom ended up with a bunch of my grandma's things, and this was in there. I also have a little 2-inch square, just a little pin loom. I don't use it very often, but it's fun. I've made Oliver squares of his spinning too, and the kids really like it. It's just something, I made this. They show everybody, and people are like, oh, what's that? It's their spinning, and they are pretty proud of it. I also finished my spindle project. This is Targhee. I've never spun Targhee by itself before, and I love it. It's cushy. It's a cushy wool like Polworth, but I think this is even softer than Polworth I've spun before. And this is going to go on a project with this yarn. The colored yarns are from a Fat Cat Knits club colorway called Pepper Spark, and the white is Angora Rabbit. And I'm going to put it together with this little bit of Angora Goat. So now I just need to pick a project. I got about 250 yards of the wool combined with the 300 yards of the wool Angora. I should be able to make a fairly decent size project. The wool yarn is slightly thicker than the wool Angora just because it poofs more in the wash, but I don't think it'll matter a whole lot. Been working on my dishcloths. I made a point. I'm getting a stack. Not nearly as many as I'd hoped, but I'm getting there. And I just wanted to show you this pattern I'm using, like prime example of color pooling. It looks like plaid without even trying, and this one's a nice Christmassy plaid. It isn't as distinct. I made this rag a little longer so you could get kind of the whole run through of the colors, but that's what I've been working on there. I think I'm just going to keep crocheting rags till I run out of cotton, which won't take long if I just buckle down and do it. I've been working a lot on my big knitting project that I cast on. which also contributed to my lower back issues. My posture when I knit is terrible. I need to work on that. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've been working on. Not really, just laundry. Lots and lots of laundry. So today is a shopping run day. It's one of those trips where we are out of everything. Stuff I don't normally buy, like salt. How often do you run out of salt? We are this close to out of salt. And diapers. I think I have 3 diapers left. So yeah, it's gonna be another busy day. I hope you have a good one. Honey, pull a little bit more.
I'm almost gone.
I think that's the last piece.
Oh. This piece is bugging.
Oh, that piece is bugging you? Yeah. Okay, well, stretch it out. Use both hands and stretch it out. There you go. Stretch it out some more. Just pull on this. There you go. Okay, keep feeding the wheel. That's perfect, honey.
Whoa.
You're doing great. Uh-oh. Hey, I'm back. I found the thought I was searching vainly for at the end of the last segment, and I wanted to show you another one of my favorite things. This spring, around the time my youngest niece was born, a pattern came on my radar, and it was by Susan B. Anderson. She's a really well-known knit designer. And one of the things she does is toys. They're really simple but really adorable toys. And the pattern that I found was little fairy dolls. And they one tucks into a little knit flower and one tucks into a little knit leaf. So you have 2 fairies, a flower, and a leaf in the set. And I just thought it was adorable. But it was only available through a magazine that I had never seen before. And I checked it out, and it was a little more than I typically spend on like a craft magazine. But I looked through Ravelry, and there were other patterns in the book, and I thought, well, and it was part of a series. There was going to be one magazine coming out in the spring. That's this one called Flora. And then in the fall, there was going to be a fauna magazine. So the spring ones are all plant-inspired designs, and then in the fall, it would be animal-inspired designs. And I went back and forth, and I was like, you know what, there was something about it that seemed intriguing, so I ordered it. And it came, and I was really surprised. This magazine, the paper quality is really nice. The photography is amazing. It's less a magazine and more like a softcover coffee table book. But it has every kind of craft in it. Knitting, crocheting, embroidery, quilting, sewing projects. It even has recipes. And really unlike anything I've seen. So I was glad to have ordered it. A lot of the projects weren't my aesthetic, my wheelhouse, but I still really like the magazine. And I haven't made anything out of it yet, and I'd kind of forgotten about it until about a week ago. I was hiding from the kids in the bathroom, checking my phone, because everybody does that, right? And I noticed the shipping notification on my phone, and I started to panic because I hadn't ordered anything, and I was freaking out, frantically clicking through the links and stuff, trying to figure out what in the world was being shipped to my house. And it was the fauna issue. And this issue I really like, even more than the first one. It has so many cute patterns. Susan B. Anderson has another pattern in it. This time it's butterflies, and they tuck into little cocoons. So now I have to decide which of her patterns I want to make. Because I was hoping to get it done for Christmas for my youngest niece. We'll see if that actually happens. But that was the hope. There's always a first birthday too, so that takes a little pressure off. But in the second book too, there's a baby hat that is like a bonnet style hat, covers the ears, but then it has little deer floppy deer ears on it, and it's the cutest thing. So, and there is a really good drop spindle spinning tutorial in here. There, what else? Needle felting projects, more quilting, embroidery projects. There's some really cute bees, embroidered bees in here. 3 different ones, I think. Recipes. And that, what made me remember that I wanted to talk about these magazines was there's a recipe for a caramelized fig pear ginger pie. And before I left to go grocery shopping, I was like, oh, I need to check that magazine and write a grocery list. Which, of course, I forgot to do. My mind, I used to have such a sharp mind, it's totally shot. Which is why I have to continue making and crafting to keep what little I have, slow down the loss a bit. But this first issue, the Flora issue, is sold out. But you can still get the Fauna issue. I will put a link to it in the in my blog, because I don't know, it's just a really interesting magazine. There are coloring pages too. I forget what's in the first one, but in the second one there are sheep, and they are wearing sweaters that correspond to where the sheep are from. Like there's a sheep wearing an Aran sweater, and there's a Shetland sheep wearing like a Fair Isle knit sweater. It's really cute. So that's what I wanted to tell you about. Another one of my favorite things is making magazine. All right, see you next week.